Welcome everyone to episode 131 of EDH Commander Challenge. I'm your host, BT. A couple things to mention real quick before we begin. First, I had got Emma a Pendelhaven to use for her deck, but kind of misplaced it before the match began, so we had to use my Winding Canyons as a substitute, or proxy if you will, for it. And secondly, due to some really bad glare on Alice's side of the field, we had to tilt the camera in a bit of a way so we'd be able to get you to see everything that she's playing. But other than that, it's going to be a great match and we hope you enjoy it. Oh, one more thing to announce as well. I did order an overhead tripod, which I intend to use in the next few weeks. Well, that is when I get it. Due to the unfortunate outbreak of, well, you know, orders are getting delayed like crazy everywhere when you order anything online. But still hoping to get it soon and look forward to it. Without any further ado, let's get to those opening hands. First, in this corner, with an opening hand of two swamps, Ashnod's Altar, Living Death, Mausoleum Secrets, Lightning Greaves, Scheming Symmetry, and her mono-black general, Erebos Bleak-Hearted. It is the newest member of our EDHCC family. Please welcome Alice. Next, in this corner, with an opening hand of three mountains, Chrome Mox, Gorgon Flail, Goblin War Chief, Goblin Chieftain, and his mono red general, Krenko Mob Boss. He is yours truly, the host, BT. Next, in this corner, with an opening hand of Pendelhaven, Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, Rogue's Passage, Elvish Visionary, Kadama's Reach, Growing Rites of Itlamok, Sundering Vitae, and her mono green general, Grunn the Lonely King. She is the prodigy, Emma. And finally, in this corner, with an opening hand of two islands, Opal Palace, Arcane Denial, Rewind, Frozen Grip, Elvish Mystic, and his Simic-style general, Eutropia the Twice Favored. He is the unpredictable Gemi. I won the dice roll to start us off, so let's begin this card fight. For our first turns, I play a mountain, Emma plays the aforementioned, quote, Pendelhaven, Alice plays a swamp and casts Scheming Symmetry, choosing for her and myself to tutor any card to the top of our decks. And Gemi plays an island. I play a mountain and cast the Soul Ring I tutored for. Then I cast Chrome Mox, imprinting Skirk Drill Sergeant, and use it to break out my Goblin War Chief. Then I move into combat, and I attack Gemi with said War Chief, and pass. Emma plays Rogue's Passage, and casts Elvish Visionary to draw a card and pass. Alice plays a swamp and casts a Soul Ring she tutored for, hashtag Great Minds Think Alike, then casts Ashnod's Altar and passes. Gemi plays Opal Palace and uses it to gain a green mana and casts Elvish Mystic and passes. I play a mountain and cast my general, Krenko. Then I cast Goblin Chieftain. Next I tap Krenko to make 3 Goblin tokens. As I have haste, I move into combat and I attack Gemi with my Chieftain and War Chief. 2 tokens go at Emma, and 1 at Alice. No one blocks and takes their respective damage. And with that, my turn is done. Emma plays a forest and casts Kadama's Reach to grab a forest into play tapped and 1 to her hand before passing. Alice casts Solemn Simulacrum to grab a tap basic from her deck into play. and passes. Gemi plays a forest and follows Emma's lead with explosive vegetation to grab some basics into play from his deck and passes. I play Goblin Burrows and cast Gorgon Flail. I then equip my flail onto my chieftain. Then I tap Krenko to make 6 more goblin tokens. Then I move into combat and spread out my goblin army in all directions again, attacking Emma with 4 goblins, 4 goblins in my war chief at Gemi, and the chieftain in the last goblin token at Alice. Emma blocks a token with her visionary and takes 6 damage. Gemi takes 11, and after Alice declares no blocks, I use my burrows to boost a token by +2/+0, and thus Alice takes 7 damage. Then I pass. Emma casts Sundering Vitae to blow up my Soul Ring, followed by Sensei's Divining Top, and passes. Alice goes straight to combat for her turn and pokes Emma with her sad robot for 2. Then in her second main, she sacks the robot to her altar for 2 mana and gets to draw a card. Then she casts Stinkweed Imp and passes. Gemi plays Temple of Mystery tapped and scries 1, leaving the card on top. Then he casts his general, Eutropia. It gets a +1/+1 counter thanks to Opal Palace. Then Gemi passes. During the end step, Alice casts Erebos' Intervention on Eutropia for 3. But Gemi counters it with Arcane Denial. During my upkeep, the second effect of Arcane Denial triggers, allowing Alice to draw 2 cards, while Gemi draws 1. I play a tapped Flamekin Village. Then I tap Krenko to make 12 more goblin tokens. Then I move into combat and send 7 tokens in my war chief at Emma, 7 tokens at Alice, and 7 tokens with my 3/3 chieftain at Gemi. No one declares blocks again, so I use my Goblin Burrows and the Goblin going at Alice for an extra 2. Thus Gemi and Emma take 17 each, and Alice takes 16 damage before I pass. Emma plays a forest and casts Eternal Witness, returning her Vitae to her hand. Then she wraps up her turn by checking her top 3 cards with her Sensei's Divining Top. Alice plays Reliquary Tower and casts Cryptghast. Then she sacks her imp to her altar to help cast her general, Erebos. Then casts Lightning Greaves and equips it to the Ghast and passes. Gemi plays an island, smiles, and passes. #uh-oh. I play a mountain and move into combat to win it all. Gemi then calmly drops Cyclonic Rift with Overload to save the table. In response, Alice sacks the Ghast to the altar, and with Erebos' trigger, pays 2 life to draw a card. Then the rift resolves, and stuff gets bounced. In my second main phase, I recast my War Chief and Krenko and pass. Emma plays a forest and casts her general, Grunn, and passes. Alice recasts Soul Ring and then casts Farika's Libation, targeting me, making me sacrifice a creature. In response, as I have haste, I tap Krenko to make 2 goblin tokens and sack 1 to the Libation. Then Alice plays Bajuka Bog and exiles Gemi's graveyard to finish up her turn. Gemi plays a tapped Colony Garden, making a 0/1 plant token as well. Then he taps out to cast both Seedborn Muse and Gyre Engineer. Then moves into combat and attacks Alice with Eutropia for 3, and passes. During my turn, Gemi untaps his permanents thanks to his Seedborn. I then cast Furnace of Wrath. We're gonna crank up the damage. Gemi again stops me cold, this time with Rewind, countering the spell and untapping his lands. I then tap Krenko to make 3 goblins. Then I sack one of them to cast Goblin Grenade. I target Gemi with it, and due to Gemi being out of counterspells for the time being, the 5 damage is enough to eliminate Gemi from the game. Then I move into combat, and I attack Alice with my War Chief for 2, and pass. Emma plays Nykthos and recasts her top. Sadly, she doesn't have Trample to give her General at the moment, so she moves into combat and attacks Alice with Grunn, whose power is doubled when attacking solo, and the damage eliminates Alice from the game, but then goes to grab a drink from the counter. In her second main phase, she recasts her Witness and takes back her Elvish Visionary, which she also then casts and draws a card, before passing. For my turn, I recast my Chieftain, followed by Tar Pitcher. Then I tap Krenko to make 6 more Goblin tokens. Then I move into combat and attack Emma with my token Goblin Army plus my War Chief to take the win, as she quietly whispers into my ear that I'll be sleeping on the couch for the next week. Dope. Not really much to say here. Krenko-based Goblin decks can get out of hand like crazy very fast, depending upon your mana base, and having a War Chief or a Chieftain in play can make it that much more brutal. In my opinion, if you're starting out at Commander, Krenko really is the standard bearer for brand new Commander players, because it's very powerful, very easy to build, easy to learn, and it's very easy on the wallet as well. There are not that many Goblin cards that fetch a really hefty price if you ask me. So I would definitely say, if you love Goblins, start there, or if anything else, try out Elves. Krenko is never a bad choice for a Commander. If you agree with our picks, let us know in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoy our content, consider becoming a patron. It'll give you access to some sweet bonuses while helping out the channel at the same time. We're now halfway on our road to 2,000 family members, and it's only because of your support. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you're a fan of EDH gameplay and you like whether it be 1v1 or multiplayer and you want to be part of the ever-growing Commander Challenge family, just make sure you smash the subscribe button and notification bell down below. We do weekly videos. Don't forget as well to like, comment, share our videos, but most importantly, enjoy them. On behalf of all of our members here, I'm your host, BT. Feel free to check out all of the videos in the channel, join our game, it's now your turn. Cheers!